Hey everyone, welcome to the Natural Birth Show. I'm your host, Rachel, and today we are talking about VBACs, which is vaginal birth after cesarean. Specifically, I just want to talk about how usually that they are safer than a repeat cesarean, and I'm also going to talk about how to avoid that kind of worrisome bait and switch doctor that says they're supportive, but then ends up not really being truly supportive. If you guys want to learn more about natural birth, natural pregnancy, and natural postpartum, please hit that subscribe button. You can also like and comment on this video, and that really helps these videos to get out there more. I'm coming at you from my husband's truck. If you guys haven't noticed, the show's pretty casual, and I do my videos where I can, when I can. So I don't know, just a funny little tidbit about me. I tend to fly by the seat of my pants. But the information's good, so let's go ahead and get started here. I also have a podcast that goes along with this video that's all about vaginal birth after cesarean with Jen Camel, who is the founder and CEO of VBAC So that's a super exciting podcast. You guys should really you guys should really check that out. We talk about these things that I'm talking about in this video, and we talk about them in more depth and more topics as well. First and foremost, usually, in most cases, a VBAC, a vaginal birth after a cesarean, is actually safer than a repeat cesarean. So there is a slightly larger increase in risk than just a normal vaginal birth where you haven't had a cesarean first. But in general, the risks of uterine rupture, the risks of other things are not deadly. They're not super dangerous. There are some higher risks though, but there are risks with a C-section too. And that's what's so important to remember is there are risks of a C-section. If you have every C-section you have increases your risk that your placenta might grow into your C-section scar and create really serious problems. C-sections in and of themselves are risky for mom and for baby in lots of different ways. There's last I checked, there's a 12% chance of serious adverse event. Now, that doesn't mean death, but that does mean an event that warrants attention with a cesarean. So keep in mind that cesareans are often touted as a safer option, but in general, a VBAC is safer. And that includes if you're having a VBAC after 2 cesareans even. So you can have a vaginal birth, not just after 1 cesarean, but if you've had 2 cesareans in a row, you can still have a vaginal birth. I live in the St. Louis, Missouri area where we have several care providers who are incredibly supportive of VBAC after 2 cesarean. We even have a care provider that will support a vaginal birth after more than 2 cesareans. Usually 3 is kind of the top, but there's just not a whole lot of evidence one way or another to say if a vaginal birth after 3 or more cesareans is safe, but there's not evidence that proves it unsafe either. So this is where you really have to tie in trusting your instincts and trusting that intuition, that wise inner voice. You really have to decide what's right for you and for your baby. And now I just want to jump to that ever so dreaded bait and switch doctor. So sometimes you get a doctor who says that they are supportive of vaginal birth after cesarean. They say, yes, we love VBACs, or sure, I'll support a VBAC. And then as things get closer, they start finding reasons that you can't have a VBAC. Baby's too big, or suddenly they don't support it anymore, or your blood pressure's getting a little high, or if your blood pressure is really getting high, that's a valid reason, but blood pressures tend to creep up just a little bit towards the end of pregnancy, so a little bit of change isn't bad. Or maybe they'll say, well, your cervix is still really high and tight and your baby's not engaged at 39 weeks, so we have to just do a repeat cesarean, we won't induce. Those are all signs that your care provider is not actually VBAC supportive. They maybe are VBAC tolerant, or maybe they just told you they were supportive and they're switching on you. If they want you to get an epidural just in case, if they want you to have the baby and go into labor naturally by 39 or 40 weeks, if they refuse to induce for a VBAC, those are all signs that maybe you'll have an okay experience, maybe not, but those are usually more VBAC tolerant care providers instead of care providers that are truly VBAC supportive. If you suddenly find yourself in the unfortunate situation that you are stuck with a care provider that is not supporting your VBAC, is not respecting your rights, which, by the way, the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecologists, ACOG, they clearly state that every OBGYN should be respecting a patient's informed refusal. Your informed consent as well. They should not be coercing you to get consent. That's not consent. The ACOG states that. And they also state that even if the OBGYN does not agree with the parent's choice, they need to respect the informed refusal. So you have the right to refuse, according to ACOG's committee opinion on informed refusal. So I just want to throw that out there too. You have the right to refuse, but if you're stuck in a situation with a care provider that's suddenly not being supportive, you have 3 choices. 1, stick with them, do the repeat cesarean. 2, stick with them and fight them the whole time, or get to the hospital at the very last minute, or just be prepared to say no a lot and be prepared to debunk their reasons that you suddenly need a cesarean. Like I said, big baby, baby not being engaged, labor taking too long, not actual reasons as long as you and baby are looking good. But they may give those as reasons. Or you have the option in a lot of areas, not all areas, to switch care providers. So in the St. Louis, Missouri area, we have care providers that will take late transfers. And that is amazing. I have had some clients transfer last minute to a different care provider and things went so well for them. Unfortunately, that is not always an option. So the best thing you can do for yourself in the VBAC situation is to arm yourself with information and then respond to your care provider respectfully. So if they are pushing for that cesarean, but you're stuck with them, you say, I appreciate that you really care for me and my baby and you really want what's best for us. However, I am the mother and my instincts or my research or my XYZ is telling me that this is the choice that I need to make and I'm going to have to refuse your suggestion, or I'm going to have to say no to your suggestion and stick with what I know is right for me and my baby. But thank you for trying to take care of me. You always want to do it respectfully because it's just easier for yourself that way. It's just easier. So that's just an overview of vaginal birth after cesarean. I threw a lot of information out there. I threw it out there really quickly. If you guys want to learn more, check out my podcast on VBACs with Jen Camel that I talked about. If you want to learn more about natural birth, pregnancy, and postpartum in general, subscribe to my channel. Also, please like this video, share this video, comment on the video. Would really appreciate that. Read the description below. There'll be links down there, but check out VBACFacts.com. And that's going to give you a lot of really good information as well. You can also check out my Facebook and Instagram pages. My handle is @TheNaturalBirthSite. So check that out too, and I post a lot of corresponding information on those pages. Thank you all for listening. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you all in the next episode. Bye.